Hey friends, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video, which I am so excited to tell you is the kickoff, the start of holiday 2020 makeup. Now granted, I don't anticipate anything else to launch for holiday for another few weeks, maybe a handful of weeks, but in typical fashion, Too Faced kicks us off with the Pumpkin Spice eyeshadow palette, and I am here for all the holiday releases. If you are anything like me, and based on the comments from my last couple of Christmas videos, I can tell we are all wanting some of that holiday cheer, some of that Christmas spirit, something to look forward to. And truly, when I saw this was coming out, I'm like, I don't even care what it looks like on the inside. I am picking that one up so that I can at least get a little bit of the holiday vibe. And with that, Starbucks has already started their pumpkin drinks, which here in a few days, I am gonna go get me a cold brew of the pumpkin spice flavor. So excited for that. But okay guys, we've got a lot to talk about with this eyeshadow palette. I do mean a lot to talk about. So if you're interested in seeing if this palette is right for you based on swatches, demo, just my opinions, thoughts, all of that good stuff, then let's just dive right into it. So let's just start off with the packaging, shall we? With the box. I am a sucker for packaging, so here we go. I've heard a lot of people say this was super plain, that they just kind of threw something out there. I guess we'll get more into that, but I would disagree a little bit. I mean, what more can you do for a pumpkin pie? I mean, it looks like a pumpkin pie to me. It's wrapped in a pretty little like candy cane type bow, obviously a fake bow, it's just printed on there. Super pretty. I very much like the packaging, and they kept it girly with the pink on the outside of the pumpkin pie picture. I just like it. On the back, there is a little layout of the palette with the shade names, and it does say it says capture all the sexy fall feels with our Too Cute pumpkin spice eyeshadow palette, baked with 18 scented warm and spicy shades that wrap you in the cozy sexy warmth of the season. Rich creamy colors in a variety of finishes make transitioning your look from daytime dreamy to nighttime sultry as easy as pie. We all know that no one really is going out for like nighttime sultry right now. Like fancy dinners and going out and all of that stuff is kind of on the down low, but hey, you can go daytime to smoky, sultry in the evening at home anytime. For reference, there are 18 eyeshadows, a total net weight each of 0.70 grams or 0.024 ounces, total net weight of 12.6 grams or 0.43 ounces. It is made in the USA, assembled in Dominican Republic. Too Faced is a cruelty-free brand. It does have a 12-month shelf life, and yeah, I feel like made in the USA, assembled in Dominican Republic is pretty on point with how they've been doing them here lately. So that's that. Let's go ahead and jump into the palette itself. It is a tin eyeshadow palette, kind of like the, not kind of like the gingerbread palettes. So that's what we've got going on there. I'm obviously going to be having trouble speaking today. So this is where I say, like, how much could you do with pumpkin pie? Like, I know a lot of people said it's boring. I kind of like it. I like that it looks like a pumpkin pie, and then it's got the crust on the outside. The spice is in like this ombre lettering. I think it's very pretty and simple, and just, I like it. And then that's what the that's what the back looks like. Okay, so the back description says the same thing as the box. If you are new, I don't typically have this much trouble speaking. It's just, I don't know. It's been a long day. My head hurts. It's like a heat index of, well over 100 degrees outside. I'm over today. Okay, so the inside has a mirror. It has like the little cardboard that looks like a pumpkin pie crust. Yeah, that looks a little cheap, but that's okay. And then on the inside, you do have 18 eyeshadow palettes. So obviously the elephant in the room, you know, everyone's saying that these look pretty much exactly the same. The Too Faced is repackaging, basically going off of the prior year and releasing and repackaging and all of that stuff. So anyways, but I told y'all in the last video, in my Too Faced holiday ranking video, that I felt this one, based at least on the pictures, had a little bit of variance based on what I was seeing with like the purples and just the standout shades. So anyways, we'll go into that. But first off, we need to go into swatches as usual. So I'm going to go ahead and start grabbing these, putting them on my arm, and that way you can see what they look like on my skin tone as usual. I will include pictures of these on a deeper skin tone up in this video as I include them on mine. And that way you have an idea of how it would show up, how it would work on your skin tone. Let's get started with that. First four: whipped cream, crisp, fall for it, and pumpkin spice. Next up, we've got ginger spice, cocoa drizzle, fall vibes, and sweetie pie. Sweetie pie looks like one of those pukey, poopy, booger type of shades, but they're actually quite flattering, these types of shades. So that's what we've got going on here. Here we've got Falling for You, Spice Baby, You Spicy, and Warm and Cozy. I feel like ever since that Patrick Star palette where I had bought that palette just for the olive shade, now I'm coming across olive shades like all over the place. We're narrowing it down. It's Oh My Gourd, A La Mode, Want a Piece of Me, and Love You a Latte. Obviously, I'm doing one swipe swatches so that you guys can see what they look like based on that. I feel like that gives you the best observation on pigmentation, not always, but most of the time. But yeah, so pretty good pigmentation, obviously, as you can see. Let me grab the last two and I'll be right back. Last two are purple shades, PSL and Chill and Spice of Life. I do this every single time. I start off well and then it always goes down this way. But hopefully you can get a good view. All right, guys, so at this point in time, we're gonna go ahead and do a quick demo so that you can see what I put on my eyes today. I did play it very girly today, a little bit more soft and feminine, but I tried to use as many of the shades as possible just so that you could see how they do perform. So I hope you find this segment of the video beneficial, and we'll be right back for final thoughts. Starting off with the shade Pumpkin Spice on a blending brush, I'm just taking this on about half of the crease. I'm not going to completely cover the crease because we're going to go in with another shade here shortly, but just really building this up. Now, I will tell you this matte is very pigmented and one layer would have done the trick. I did two, but it is quite pigmented and blends so nicely. Next, going in with the shade Ginger Spice on that same blending brush. And I'm going to take this on the second half of the crease and just kind of connect the two. I have found that I like the differentiation of two different shades in the crease. I find that it looks very pretty, and I also wanted to use as many shades as possible for you to see how they look in this demo. Now I'm going to go in with the shade Whipped Cream and just a little detail brush, and I'm going to place this on my brow bone. I don't do this 100% of the time, but this look really did call for it, and it's a lovely matte white shade. Next, I'm going in with the shade Warm and Cozy on a blending brush, and this is what's going to go on the outer portion of our lid. Now, this one and the shade You Spicy, which is the one right next to it, I find that they work better when you pack them on instead of sweep them on. That's just what I have found, and so that's what I ended up doing with this one. Once I added the second layer, I just kind of patted it on so that it really looked opaque. Next, I'm going to go in with my Fenty Pro Filter Eye Primer as per usual, and just taking some on a flat shader brush, and I'm going to place this on the lid where I am going to lay down some of those really metallic shades. I find that this works for both cutting my crease as well as having something super tacky for those types of shades to grab onto.
Next up, I'm going to use my finger and go in with the shade Oh My Gourd and place that right over where I laid down that tacky base. Finger application is a must for these chunkier shades. I'm just forewarning you. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Want a Piece of Me, also with my finger, and this is going to go on the outer portion, kind of in the middle between that matte and where I placed that other metallic shade. Now I'm going to go in with a flat brush, flat shader brush, and I'm going to go back in with the shade Oh My Gourd, and I'm going to place that in the upper area of my lid where my finger is a little too chunky to reach. I'm just going to lay this, again, don't use a brush all over the lid. Detail work though, you kind of have no choice. Next up, I'm going to go in with the shade You Spicy and a little stumpy brush. I'm going to place this right at the seam where that matte shade, that deep matte shade, meets the metallic lilac shade I just placed down. This is probably the most difficult shade in the palette to work with. It goes bald if you work with it too long. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Ginger Spice and a little, I don't know what this kind of brush is, a little short stumpy brush as well. And place it on my lower lash line just to kind of tie the look all together. Alright, I'm going to place some Essence Brown liner on my waterline. I feel like black would have been a little too harsh, so I definitely chose to go with brown. I'm also going to place this on my lash line, just as I would a regular black liner, because we're going to smudge it out since this is a more feminine, girly look. That's what I felt like this called for. And just using a liner brush, I'm just smudging that out, just smoking it out just a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to go in with some more Fenty Pro Filter eye primer, and this is going to go in my inner corner. Again, anywhere I'm going to put some of that metallic goodness, for any eyeshadow palette really, I go in with this primer first. And now I'm going to go in with the olive shade called Fall Vibes, and also a little detail brush, and I'm going to place this in the inner corner for that pop. It's very chunky, and I did go in with a couple of layers. This is the final look, guys. I hope you enjoyed, hope you found it easy to follow, and hope you found it beneficial.
All right, my friends, let's move into my final thoughts. It just dawned on me that I've never told you the price of this palette. It is $49 as usual. I will have it linked in the description box below just in case you want a quick shortcut over to it. But it is $49, which I think has been pretty consistent with their tin eyeshadow palettes in the past, like the gingerbread, the clover, peach palette, that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and talk about this bad boy. So first off, I want to reference something that's on the box, and it says capture all the sexy fall feels. So I have a hunch that they released this, yes, as like the kickoff to holiday, but I mean, Too Faced always does this. They release one palette and then they go in with a full-on like collection type thing, and that leads me to believe that it is no exception to the rule this year. So I have a feeling this is more meant to be a fall palette, even though it is holiday. Obviously pumpkin pie is holiday, but there is going to be a holiday / Christmas collection coming in the near future, I would think. Typically they start releasing those in September, and we're there. We're in September practically. So anyways, there is that. So the tin packaging, I actually don't mind. I like their tin packaging. Is it my favorite? No, but I also don't dislike it. I think sometimes I don't mind these types of packagings because I like different. You guys know that. I like a different outside the box type of thing, and I definitely don't mind it. I like the aesthetic. I like the look of it. I think it's pretty. I think it's simple, yet it gets the point across. This is, hey, fall / holiday / everything yummy, and I am good with it. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about what you want to know. So let's start off as I usually do with the mattes. Now I will tell you that this was a mixed bag for me when it came to the matte eyeshadows. The lighter shadows, which what I mean by that is pretty much everything from here on over, performs so beautifully. They are very soft to the touch. They're super blendable, as you saw in the demo with the shades that I went in the crease. I hardly needed any product. Barely dipped into it. I don't even remember if I dipped into it again to get more. Like, there is quite a bit of pigment that comes across on those shadows. They're blendable, they're easy to use, they're easy to build up, and they're very, very fall, warm, cozy. Like, that fits right into their description. What I will tell you is that this section of the eyeshadow here, as far as the mattes, they're dry, they're chalky to the touch, and for me, they're a little bit harder to blend. They're a little patchier, and the shade that is called You Spicy, which is this pink one right here, if I overblend, not even that, like if I go a little bit, just one step too far in my blending, it goes bald. If you know what I mean. Like, basically it dusts away like it wasn't there, and I end up with a bald spot on my eyelid. And so I want to be upfront with you. I don't know if others are having the same issue. That shade gives me that issue every single time. I had that issue when I initially swatched this palette when it arrived, and I was like, okay. But to me, swatching means nothing. You have to really play with it on the eyes, and even on the eyes with using a blending brush, it blends away. I don't know, it's really weird. And that's one reason I wanted to use it in the demo, even though you really couldn't see it as much, because I really just kind of put it in there as like a little transitional shade. But truly, it's hard to get it to show up. You have to place it down and kind of leave it as is. You kind of need to place it where you want it, and don't do a whole lot of dusting, sweeping, anything like that, because it kind of goes away. That being said, that's the only matte shade, the only shade in general for this palette that I had that issue with. Aside from that, the deeper shades over here are a little bit more difficult to work with. They're a little bit more stiff. They can go on a little patchy. They take a little bit of extra work. What can I say? That's what it comes right down to. But nothing I can't get past. So that's that. But truly and honestly, everything over here, very easy, very what I would expect. So that being said, before I forget, I want to talk to you about the scent, because that just came to my mind, and I know I'll forget if I don't talk to you about it now. So it's supposed to have a pumpkin pie scent. I will tell you, I don't smell anything related to pumpkin pie. It has like a slight sweet scent, but I'm gonna tell you something very random. Don't come for me. And if you wanna laugh at me, you totally can. And this is gonna sound weird, and I don't wanna turn you off to this palette based on the scent, because I'm gonna make it sound worse than it is. And it's really not. It's just the best way I can describe it to you. It's the first thing that came to my mind. You know how when you're sick and you can smell your own snot? I get a hint of that. I don't know. I think it's just the packaging. I think it's either like the cardboard, maybe it's a little bit of the tin. I have smelled that before in other palettes, even non-Too Faced related, but sometimes when brands want to add like a scent, sometimes it has a little bit of an off kind of scent, and I get that with this. I get a little bit of sweet, but I get a little bit of snot. Anyways, I think that's probably the most random thing I've said on my channel over the life of this channel. So if you've been with me for a long time, this moment is probably historic. So anyways, it does smell a little bit like that. It's not off-putting, and that's why I say that I think I'm going to make it sound worse than it is. It's just that that's the first thing that came to my mind. But okay, I just have to say, sorry. Sometimes Huda palettes smell like old battleships to me. Again, I know that's weird. This is like turning out to be such a weird video, but growing up, so we live semi-close to Corpus Christi, and so growing up, I have toured the USS Lexington, I can't even tell you how many times, and there is a certain scent, a certain smell when you tour either a submarine or a battleship, that just, you know what I'm talking about if you have been on one. And Huda palettes, especially her minis, like the neons, smell exactly like that. So again, not off-putting, it's just the first thing that comes to my mind. Okay, let's move on. So we talked about the mattes. Now let's go ahead and talk about the two, I'm gonna call them satin type shades. And those are Crisp and Falling For You. Ooh, this is very reflective, you guys. I'm sorry if I just blinded you. So the pink and the olive green, they are very lovely. They're very pretty. I like more of a little bit higher shine, but they still do the job. They're very pigmented, they're easy to use, they're easy to work with, they build well with a brush. You can also use your finger. They're very nice, and I think those are a little bit more different than what you typically see in the Too Faced holiday releases. That being said, let's go on to my very favorite type of shade, like the Super Pack-a-Punch standout shades, which are Fall Vibes, Oh My Gourd, Want a Piece of Me, PSL, and Chill. So there are 4. Number one thing I'm going to tell you is that they are very, very chunky. Highly, highly chunky. If you don't like that type of formula, you will not like these. The one thing I also will say on the flip side is that those are the 4 shades that are extremely different from pretty much anything you've seen Too Faced related as far as holiday, which is what, like, those were the shades that immediately I went to. I'm like, ooh, those kind of look different from what we've seen in the gingerbread and all that stuff. So anyways, very, very, very chunky. Very reflective, but again, very, very chunky. Like literally if I go like this, I could probably, yeah, I can see some of it falling down and see it kind of shears out quite a bit. With that, I will tell you that I would, believe me, I tried using a brush. Don't use a brush with those. You will dig into the pan of product, you will take more than you need, and it will not give you the desired result. It's gonna frustrate you, it's gonna agitate you. Use your finger. If you're gonna use these like standout shades, you need to use your finger. It is the best, quickest, easiest way to apply them to give you the result that I think was intended with those types of shades. So they're very reflective. You saw in the demo, they go on very pretty. They look very mirror-like. It's the type of finish I live for in an eyeshadow, but do not use your brush. You will get very, very frustrated and it's not gonna give you the look that you're going for. So anyways, all 4 of them are beautiful. You need to use your finger. That's just, I mean, I can't tell you any more than that, but that's not anything different than a lot of other eyeshadows that I would tell you, use your finger, don't use a brush. So that being said, overall, I'm gonna tell you that I really like this palette. I would not rank it as my top holiday Too Faced palette. So, I mean, for whatever that's worth. I think that it does provide a different option to what you're used to seeing. Are there similarities? Absolutely. I'm not going to do the whole side-by-side thing just because there is plenty else of that out there at the moment. But yes, when it comes to Too Faced Holiday, there are always similarities, especially as it relates to the neutral shades. You will find some of that in the previous palettes, hands down. But you're not going to really find like the purples, you're not going to really find the, well, the chocolate gold I think had an olive, but anyways, like the olive, this pink, I feel like this formula, this color scheme for these standout shades are different than what we've seen. I also like that they've included the neutral, but that they've included these pops of color because quite frankly, do you really picture like pink and orange, pink and purple, along with a bunch of neutral shades that you would automatically assume are fall/holiday shades? Not really. And I like when they do that because it gives you something else to play with. It sparks your imagination to say, you know what, I really can combine this for a different type of holiday look. So for me, truly, it was worth the splurge. It was worth the $49 price tag. It was worth the purchase. What you have to ask yourself is if that little variation from what you're used to seeing is worth that price tag for you. If you are a collector, then yes, you're gonna wanna pick it up. If you're into the whole holiday/Christmas makeup collecting, then yes, you're gonna wanna pick it up. If you've been looking forward to holiday beauty and this gives you something this sparks joy, then just for the joy, pick it up. Not even because, you know, you're looking for something super out of the ordinary. You know what I mean? And that's what it was for me. It was more like it sparked joy because it meant this is the start of holiday beauty. And overall, I did end up liking the palette. I will use it. It's not my favorite. It's not the best one they've ever come out with, but it's decent enough, it's good enough for me to like it very much and be glad that I picked it up. So truly, for whatever that's worth to you, hopefully you find it helpful in the way you were trying to make this decision for purchasing this palette. And the last thing is, I'm not going to do a comparison, but what I did want to point out to you, because some of you may be wondering the most of how the yellow in here compares to the yellow in here. If you watched my Too Faced Holiday ranking video, then you know this was high on my list. This was a number 2, and it is rare that like a mini eyeshadow palette is super high on my list, but this one is incredible. So this yellow right here, I'm just gonna let you know, it's a little bit more, how can I put it? Lighter, I guess you could say. The one in the pumpkin is richer than the one in the hot buttered rum. So what I'd like to do is give you a very quick swatch of these two, just so that you have an idea of what they look like side by side, in case you were saying, oh, those are a dupe right there. They're exactly, no, they're not. This one's definitely a lot lighter, a lot more, I don't know how to describe it. I feel like the pumpkin one is more mustard, rich mustard, than this one. This one's a lot lighter, like, and you'll be able to tell. So this one looks more like orange juice, and this one is just a light little sunshine yellow. I don't know, but definitely different, not the same in the least. Yes, there are similarities, because obviously, look, pumpkin pie, hot buttered rum, I mean, same color scheme. But I just want to kind of answer those questions on all the similarities out there, because the given, you have to just settle in your mind that Too Faced does that. They do the repeats, they do kind of the variations, they do the similarities with a different kind of twist. It is what it is. For me, it was worth the splurge. I like it. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. I hope that you got some sort of nugget out of this that helps you decide whether this palette is right for you. But before I let you go, I just want to give you a very quick verse of the day to encourage you, motivate you, let you know Jesus loves you, and so do I. Today's comes from Hebrews 13:5, and it says, God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. It's a very comforting thought. And I just want to share that with you, because I find comfort in that verse. There's a lot of verses that just bring such a soothing to my soul. And it is my prayer that they do the same for you. If you don't already know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, it's my prayer that you would come to know him as your Savior and your very, very best friend. He is the most important and amazing decision you will ever make. I don't mean that to shove anything down your throat. You can click off. It's, you know, it's fine. I just want to share my love for him with you, because life is just never the same without him as it is with him. It's so amazing with him. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for watching. I enjoyed spending time with you, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay well, and I love you guys. See you soon. Bye.